Okay, so this is Victor Padilla and Jolie Gonzalez Padilla. We're here with actor, producer, director, and writer Alexander Bedria. Did I say that right?
You did.
All right, all right. So tell us how you've been through all of this. How you holding up with what's going on in the world right now?
There are lighter days and heavier days. I think, like all of us. I think for me, the key has been just to take it day by day, and take care of myself, take care of my family, and just be healthy and exercise, take walks, whatever we're able to do. In LA, we're pretty locked down, and there's not a lot we can do. But they just opened up the hiking trails, and I think that we're just trying to stay as healthy as we can day by day. But all in all, I'm very fortunate, and I really feel for the folks who are really truly struggling right now with their health and with their finances, and it just breaks our heart every day to have friends who are really struggling and see people all around the world who are really struggling. And just hope this is over sooner rather than later.
Yeah.
I agree with that.
He looks to God's ears. Tell us a little bit about your family. You said you've had family here, but you have family there as well. Tell me a little bit about your family.
My wife and I live in LA, and all of our family is on the East Coast, so it makes it challenging for us, especially because we can't visit them. But I got some family in Florida. My mom and sister are there, and then my rest of my extended family in the States is in New York. Also a tough place to be right now. So right now, things like Zoom and phone calls and texting and that kind of stuff is, thank God we have this technology available to us now, because this would have happened 15, 20 years ago. We wouldn't have been able to communicate, at least face to face. So I think, the connections that we have to our close friends and family all over the country, all over the world is really what's helped from conversations that I've had is just, it's what helps keep us all going, I think.
Yeah. And we have to do that as often as we can, because sometimes it's you that's down, but it could be somebody in your family or a friend. So you got to kind of pick each other up. Everybody's got to try and pick each other up on their down day,
Sure. Yeah. I mean, I think that seems to be the universal thing that everyone I've spoken to, it's like, some days are just, if you want to take on the world and do what you can, and other days you just don't want to get out of bed, because we're all kind of cramped in, and we want to protect others, so we gotta. It's interesting, even walking around the neighborhood wearing a mask. You have to find ways to kind of let people know that you're smiling at them without.
I know. I was thinking that.
Yeah, so we gotta
smile on the mask.
Do this or do one of these.
Right.
So, anything we can to just kind of keep those little moments add up, I think.
Yeah.
So where's your family from originally?
My mother is from Peru, Arequipa, and my father was from Lebanon, in the Middle East. So they met in New York, so it's a very American story. And so I grew up in dual, completely dual cultures, so to speak, but very much, an American upbringing, very much, as is traditional with most immigrants. My parents are both very proud Americans, and very, and we take a lot of value and stock in the strength of the country coming from its multiculturalism and its melting pot. So I guess I'm a sort of a living, breathing manifestation of that.
Wow, that's amazing.
That's great. What inspired you to become an actor? And a writer and all of the above, really, because you wearing a lot of hats.
Yeah. I think ultimately it began as, with a love of movies as a child, just getting lost in movies and, just completely and totally losing myself in those stories on the big screen and on the TV. And, I think that's where the seed of it kind of came from, but there wasn't any conscious thought about I want to be an actor. I want to make movies. I don't know that was ever something that I thought I could figure out how to do. And then when I got into college, my freshman year of college in Daytona Beach, I kind of fell into a theater class my freshman year. And from the first day of that class, that was it. Like I just completely and totally fell in love with the craft of acting, with the technique of acting, and with performance. And up until then, I was very, very shy. And then when I discovered that, I stopped. This is true. I stopped going to all my other classes. I just stopped, and I took every theater class I could, and I became completely obsessed. And that's where it really sort of started, and it never really stopped from there.
Wow, that's great.
So tell us about some of the movies you've starred in and some of the series you were in the past.
Oh man. Well, the very first job I ever did was 3 years to the day from moving to Los Angeles. I got a small role in the show Criminal Minds. It was just one line, but like I knew that when I got that one little part, I'd already sort of jumped a huge hurdle, because I have many dear friends and many folks that I've known who were very talented, but they were never able to get that first TV job, just the first one. Right. And I knew when I hit that, it was so strange. It came through, because people kept saying, it's going to take you 3 years or 5 years or wherever before you land any job. And sure enough, that was true to the day, 3 years to the day. Wow. And since then, I've done a lot of guest spots on TV. I CSI Miami, which was shot in Long Beach in California. Mm-hmm. I've guest starred on Scandal and The Newsroom on HBO, Ray Donovan. Mayans MC, I recurred on that. I did 5 episodes of that. I just guest starred on NCIS Los Angeles.
Yes.
And I did my first studio movie was. So I have to go back in my memory now. The Amazing Spider-Man. That was a really cool. I mean, it was a small part, but it was another one of those steps. Like, oh, I'm in a big movie, and I didn't get cut out. And I've done a lot of little small passion projects in between those kind of more well-known TV and film projects. Ray Donovan, I did that as well on Showtime.
Yeah, I like Ray Donovan.
You can look, go down my IMDb, and I'm sure I'm forgetting something, but
yeah. And tell us about you are currently starring in NCIS LA. With Chris O'Donnell and some other actors. Tell us about
that was recently. Yeah.
That was just recently.
Yeah, that was right before all this kind of happened. That was right before we all went into lockdown. Hang on, I lost you for a second. For the wonderful world of Zoom.
Weird.
The Zoomy world.
There we go. That's better. I was coming up really huge and big, and you guys were small, and I was like, that's just a
me earlier.
That's okay. We can be small.
So NCIS Los Angeles. Yeah, that was a great job. I was happy to get that one. These shows are so popular all over the country, all over the world. Like, and you don't really realize it until you do it and it airs, and all of a sudden you start kind of getting all these messages and on social media and followers from everywhere. You just do this job and you're doing the work, and all of a sudden it sort of just goes out into the world. And that was a really cool one to be a part of, because I got to work with a group of people that I grew up watching. That's the coolest thing about the job, is that cool. You get to kind of meet and have moments with people that, like, LL Cool J. Mm-hmm. I remember jamming out in high school with my friends in the car, just listening to his music, and then there I am on set with him, just shaking hands and talking about New York. He was very cool, just an absolute gentleman, and big guy, like big guy. I knew he was pretty big, but when I met him in person, I was like, man, this guy could be a professional wrestler. Like, he's huge.
Wow,
he's that big. I never thought. I thought he was a small guy. That's interesting.
No, he's a big dude. And he's crazy fit. And then speaking of professional wrestlers, Bill Goldberg, who was also guest starring on the episode, I believe his character recurs. I got to work with him quite a bit, and he's another guy I grew up watching. watching. So, that's really cool. Those are, very, very, you try to really be present in those moments and enjoy not just the work itself, which is really that's the most enjoyable thing. It's just that moment between action and cut, but just enjoying the moments in between, with meeting these people who you kind of grew up watching. And I've had really great experiences by and large with the folks that I've met on sets, and people are just, they're there to do the work and hopefully have a good time. And I haven't had too many, those kind of negative experiences. So
yeah, that's good. That's good. Hopefully they'll call you back for recurring parts on some of those. I love those parts.
Things are only going to get better for you. Definitely.
So tell us about a funny moment maybe that took place while filming. It could be on NCIS if something really funny occurred during that.
Oh man, funny. I should have had
it could be embarrassing too.
Yeah.
Oh, plenty of those. I'm sure. Yeah. I'll say that like the thing about going on as a guest star is you're the guest in somebody's house, right?
Yes.
So there's a lot more pressure to not screw it up,
Right.
And so the actors who've been on shows for years, like they're loose, they're relaxed because they're fine, like they're sometimes it's like their office. They come in every day.
Yeah.
But when you come in as a guest star, you definitely feel more of the pressure of like, I gotta be prepared, I gotta be ready. Yeah. And so because a lot of the stuff that I've done has been drama, it's been, like Mayans, and it's heavy stuff,
Yeah.
It's not like, maybe if it was more, the shows had been more comedic, there'd be more kind of hijinks and improv, but with the jobs that I've done and the characters that I've played, it's been pretty down the line, and like you're coming in and your character knows what he's doing, and even to the point like I remember when I did Mayans MC, I was working with Edward James Olmos, right, who is was legend.
Yeah. We've interviewed him.
Exactly. And so like I think it might've been my first or second day of work.
Wow.
And I'm on set, and the scene is, he's got a sawed-off shotgun in my face, and we're doing the whole scene that way. Right?
Holy cow.
And so after the first take, I'm like, oh man, that felt pretty good. And then the director's like, comes up to me, and he's like, don't look so scared. Don't look so
real.
And I'm like, really? I got Edward James Olmos with a shotgun in my face, I mean, and because I wasn't playing at it. I was actually genuinely, feeling anxiety and allowing that to come through. But I think, what he was saying was, it's like, look, on this show, it's like your character, he's in the DEA. He would have had a gun in his face half a dozen times, maybe over the course of the last month. So I got it, which was like, okay, I have to really like face down, him as an equal and say, I'm not afraid. Right. So that was a little, as like, trying to come in and be tough and be the DEA guy. That was a little like, okay, well, I have to, I gotta, it was a little embarrassing in a sense, like kind of.
You have to be brave.
Yeah, it's a little emasculating. I mean, that's not I don't know that's the most exciting story, but from an acting standpoint.
That's a good one.
But I can imagine, like, what was he thinking too? Like,
by the way, like, again, sweetest man, just an equal, we sat there in our chairs together before we would do a scene, and he would just want to run lines. And I love to do that because you make it feel in the moment, and just, it's loose. It's just, it's, we're not putting too much on it. It's just, it's natural. Right. And things come from that. Not every actor really wants to work that way. And sometimes, with the bigger actors and stars, they sometimes want to kind of be away from everybody, right, and doing their own thing, which is cool if that's your process. But Eddie was just, super down to earth, and he just wanted to get the scene right, which is what I wanted. And he was a real pleasure to work with. I learned a lot just watching how simple he was.
That's good. That's humble too, right?
Yeah.
That he would still want to do that, because like you said, probably other actors don't do it as much or don't want to.
He
kind of handle things differently.
Yeah, he cares. You could tell, like, he really cares about the work, and like I said, like, you go on these sets, and sometimes the actors have been on there for X amount of years, and they're doing the kind of the same procedural stuff regularly, and you can feel a little bit of that passion. Maybe that used to be there. It's just sort of not there in front of me right now, but there are certain people, Jeff Daniels was that way, where you can tell, like, it's they're actors. They're the real deal, and they come in to do the work.
Yeah.
And it's not about coming in to socialize or make friends. It's about coming in to do the work, and then they're also very pleasant people, and we share some great stories. There's probably a few stories that were shared with me that I can't ever share, but but it's just again, for me, because I really admire those kinds of actors who've been around and they've done all different kinds of parts, and it's not about their status or their celebrity, it's about the work that they do. I really, when I have the opportunity to work with somebody like Edward Olmos or Jeff Daniels, it's like I really want to watch them and see how they work and how they conduct themselves and how they relate to the crew. It's an education.
Yeah, that's a good way to learn too. It's because they're so experienced and so well versed in their profession already that you can take a lot from it and learn a lot from it. That's great. That's great.
Now here's one of the most important questions. What is your favorite Latino food?
Do you like Latino food? And what's your favorite?
Well,
food, but food.
Being in Los Angeles is probably a good variety.
Peruvian food is amazing.
We love Peru.
Amazing.
Well, my grandmother would make this dish called papa huancaína, which is like this sauce, this kind of yellow, whitish sauce that you put over potatoes or hard-boiled eggs is a big staple of Peruvian cuisine.
Mm-hmm.
And I would grow up when you would take the eggs and kind of scoop it and then have it with potatoes and salad, and that would have to be my favorite. You can find it in Peruvian restaurants, but it's not quite the same, of course, as my abuelita used to make. My mother makes it too. I have to give credit to my mother, but it was my grandmother's recipe. So I have had it in Peruvian restaurants. There's some amazing Peruvian restaurants in Los Angeles, which all of us can't wait to get back to going to restaurants again, right? But I have to say, when I go home, my mother always says when she visits or when I go there, she's like, "Oh, I'm gonna make you the papa huancaína." That's probably my favorite.
Wow.
That's something to look forward to, right?
Yeah, definitely.
The light at the end of the tunnel. So tell me, what are some of the projects that you have planned for the future?
Well, right now I'm developing a TV series with a production company, and I can't talk a lot about it yet. It's still in the early phases, but it's looking good, and I certainly hope that. Well, right now everything's kind of up in the air, but
right.
So far it's looking good, and I certainly hope that in the next few months we are able to secure some funding and secure some producing partners to be able to move this forward. But at the moment, knock on wood, it seems to be moving forward. And then I have a feature film that I did called Aftermath with the actress Ashley Greene from the Twilight movies and Shawn Ashmore, who was in the X-Men movies. So I had a really nice role in that we shot. We shot it a couple of months ago. Time is just.
I know.
Yeah. But it was supposed to come out this year, and I certainly hope that it still does. It was supposed to have a theatrical release, but these days, who knows? So I would say when I have some news about that, I'll put it out. But should be
cool. Hopefully, it'll come out soon.
Hopefully so. And then just the life of the actor, just auditioning and meeting, and we're all hoping that, because production is obviously shut down now, so things are kind of on hold. So we're all hoping that things can start moving soon, and then obviously what's being discussed are what the safety protocols are going to be to keep everybody on the crew and the cast and everything safe. So until that stuff is all sorted out, I think we're all going to be on hold for a little bit.
Is there such a thing as an online audition still right now?
Oh, sure. Yeah, definitely. I would say self-tapes. So that was even prevalent before this all happened.
Okay.
And, basically an actor would get their audition script and then sides and then film themselves. And in my house, I have a little room just with a nice camera and lighting so that I can at any moment drop everything and go and film an audition, because things move so quickly. And when a casting director only has room to see, let's say, 10 actors in a day, well, it makes a lot more sense when they can see 100 auditions in a day when actors can film them themselves. So, if there's any actors watching, I'd say make sure that you have your whatever setup you have for your self-taping, it's ready to go, because that's what you need to be competitive now.
That's a great idea. I'm glad you shared that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool to have when you have a room like that, then you can like maybe get your kids and your wife and go in there and do a little acting with them,
Yeah, totally. My wife, I have to kind of drag her from whatever she's doing. Sometimes at when I get an audition late and it has to be there the next day, it's like 11 p.m. at night, midnight. It's like, can you come and just kind of help me with this? And honestly, if you need a nice camera, you can use an iPhone.
Sure.
So that's definitely, that was already something that was on the increase, and then now it's
the norm, probably.
Because there's still projects that are being greenlit. Like there's still stuff that's being developed, and there are series I have friends that are producing different TV series, and they're writing their next seasons right now. Like they're renewing, and so they're trying to incorporate social distancing potentially into scripts. And it's, I don't know. I mean, it's a really interesting creative challenge to figure out how to do that. If your whole show had nothing, you have to figure out a way to kind of mold a show around that people already know what it is, and then try to find a way to have it make sense where the characters aren't going to be next to each other potentially in the next season. I don't know. I don't envy that challenge.
That's wild.
That's going to be very challenging.
Yeah. But with all the technology we have today, there's so many things we could do with that.
Yeah.
So, but who has always been your hero and inspiration in your life?
There have been a lot. There have been a lot. I would say. Well, I'm always inspired by anyone who really dives into their passion. I have to say, I've learned that everybody's human, and sort of idealizing and idolatry with people can get a little dicey, because what's the saying? Like, worship your heroes from afar, right? Because you meet people and they might not be exactly who you thought they were going to be or hoped they were going to be, which is almost always the case, for better or for worse. So for me, I like to take inspiration from the stories that I hear, especially now, of people who are courageous, and whether it's the frontline workers who are putting themselves in harm's way every day for sometimes menial pay and not a lot of appreciation, or the great artists. I look to Daniel Day-Lewis or Philip Seymour Hoffman in terms of like my acting Northern Stars. And so for me, I like to go back to the well sometimes when I'm feeling frustrated or I'm feeling low energy creatively. I'll put on a great movie. I'll put on the Waterfront with Marlon Brando, or I'll put on The Master with Joaquin Phoenix and Philip Seymour Hoffman, and I'll just sort of let it wash over me and draw from the well of just great talents working at the top of the field. And in terms of personal heroes, I would say probably, my father, who's no longer with us, because he was always it was always very important to him that my sister and I both, we followed our dreams, our where we felt that our path was, what we wanted to do. He's no longer with us, but I think about him encouraging me all the way until the end, which was to say, do what you're going to do, go to California and pursue what you want to pursue. And that to me, is something that I was very lucky to have. My mother and father both being very encouraging of me, because not everybody in my field has that from their family, especially when they start. People don't understand. pursuits. And I think, my father understood. And so for me, that was something that was, that I still carry with me. And it fuels me as I go on, even through the difficult times.
Good.
That's awesome.
So is there anything you want to share with us that you want to talk about, that you want us to share with our audience?
Well, I want to say that, I get a lot of questions about starting acting and filmmaking and all these things, and how it seems, people kind of want to know, what do I do? How do I start? And it
Right.
seems daunting, looking at the top of the mountain, so to speak. Not to say that I'm anywhere remotely close to that, but people, they see, where I'm at or where somebody else is at, and like, how do I get there? And the truth is that, I do this because I love it. And that love that I had when I started that first theater class that I mentioned in college, that first acting scene, that was something that love that I felt, I still feel every time I'm on a set, every time I'm doing a scene. It's no different, just a lot more expensive with cameras around. But,
Sure.
like, I would say that, that for those, especially, the young Latin Hispanic kids watching, the world has really opened up in the entertainment business. It wasn't quite this way when I started. And now there's certainly more opportunity, but nothing beats the opportunities that you can create for yourself. So if you have a story that you want to tell, if you have a short film idea or a scene, nothing's stopping you, nothing at all. I mean, if you have a phone, which most people have, you have a little studio in your hands.
That's true.
People are doing some cool work out. You can shoot, you can edit, you can play with audio, you can do special effects. Just let your creativity guide you, and all the other stuff, success and recognition and work and agents and these kinds of things, they'll handle themselves. But you have to start with the seed of really being passionate about what you want to do. And I think that no matter where you are in the world, like self-taping, you don't have to be in Los Angeles or New York. You can do that anywhere. And the world is opened up to creative people. So for anyone watching who wants to get started in this world, start making stuff. Doesn't have to be good. It never is for any of us when we start, right? It's just about doing it and growing and learning and enjoying that process. Because you'll always have the same frustrations no matter how far you go, but you have to love what you're doing. So I want to encourage people out there, especially now when things are so uncertain, create. It's a nice antidote to everything going on on a soul level, on a heart level.
Yeah, that's true. I agree with you.
It'd be a good love story is your mom and dad's story. That would be awesome.
He's writing a script in his mind now.
Writing it down.
I
That's
agree.
amazing. That's amazing. Someone from Lebanon and someone from Peru. That is just, to me, such an awesome thing. I had a friend that I grew up with that he was Latino and he was from Iran. From that area, but his doctor.
Well, Shakira is part Lebanese and part Colombiana, right?
Yeah.
She is, and I think Selma Hayek is part Mexican, part Lebanese too.
Yes,
there you go.
Yeah. And Carlos
beautiful people, beautiful women.
That's gorgeous. That's true.
They got the best of both worlds. It's so beautiful over there. Yeah.
Just gotta take care of yourself, stay healthy.
Right. I think everybody should be accountable for themselves. Then they got to be responsible. Act responsibly.
Hey, we took a risk the other day. We went to Burger King and got an Impossible Burger.
That is pretty good.
Yeah.
That was the first
and we were
time.
like, okay, and they were like, okay, glove, mask, got all the sanitizer ready, sanitize the bag.
Spray the burger.
Yeah. Oh man. I'll make it taste better. Well, I mean, look, you guys just, be careful out there. Keep your distance, I'm sure you are. And, hopefully this will pass, or they'll find some kind of a treatment that works for people soon. It's not, it's important to stay healthy and safe, but I think that people's psyches are starting to really kind of spin out, especially out here when you can't go out and see people and do things. Yeah. It's really, it's becoming hard for people to, people I think are just saying, the hell with it, I'm just going to go out and do things because there's no plan.
Right.
So I'm seeing more traffic on the roads and everything. And, it's hard to know what to do in this situation. Just got to bear it out day by day and be as safe as we can. That's all we can do.
It is hard because we feel like for the first time ever, we're all out of control, you know, not out of control in the sense that we're going nuts, but in the sense of we really have nothing that we can do to make things better right now other than take care of each other.
And that's a good lesson too. I think that's
Yeah.
it's a good thing to remember in the end. So
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead and pray. Father God, we just come to you in the name of your son, Jesus. Lord, I just thank you for our brother and our friend, Alex. And Lord, we pray over his wife and his children, his family. Lord, that's also in New York and Ormond Beach and wherever they may be. I just pray over that you protect them, Lord, and keep them safe. And always bring provision and favor wherever he goes, wherever he steps foot. And Father, open the doors in his life that need to be open and close the doors that need to be closed so that he is always guided into the right place at the right time. Always open that window of opportunity. And Lord, bring success into everything he does and bring new ideas and the ideas that he has and already let them flourish, Father. And I pray that his career excel in a mighty way. And Father, that he will be a man well known among men, Lord, even to people in high authority and all over this world. And Lord, be known as an actor that is a good quality actor, Father, and that his career would just explode. And keep them safe and healthy wherever they go. Ask that your protection, your angels surround him and his family and in Ormond Beach, Lord, his mom and all family there, and give them peace and give his family and him peace, Lord, and comfort to know that this soon will pass. And Lord, that everything is going to be the way it should soon. We thank you for him. We ask that you bless him and his wife and his whole entire family. In the name of Jesus, amen.
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 Thank you for this. This is lovely. Thank you very much. And
No,
best to you.
Thank you. We
Thank
enjoyed
you.
it. Yes.
And
Yes.
if you we'll get